Welcome back to Streaming Media West 2019. If you hear the alarms in the background, that's not because they're coming after me, it's because something's going on in the hotel. I've got with me today Scott Grizzle from IBM, and Scott actually has been in the industry as long as I've been.
Yeah.
So you said 20 years coming to this show.
Yeah.
Where was your first show?
Very first show was in San Jose.
At the McHenry Convention
Yeah, the very first
Center.
time it was a massive show.
It really was.
And then then went to other locations and came back, but it was up there for years.
And I remember, in fact, there was the Westin that was right across the street from that. The St. Clair, I think, is what it was called. And that was before they put in the before they put the parking deck in, they actually had a place where you could ice skate in the winter.
That's right.
Right down there. So that sort of dates us. And the irony is, of course, we're back now in a Westin in downtown LA. I honestly liked having it up in Silicon Valley, but I understand also why they've moved it south to be part of the entertainment capital. You were mentioning just before we went on the air that there's a lot going on in streaming this week. So there are multiple shows, sports, esports. There were a couple other ones you mentioned.
Salesforce's Dreamforce event. That's a major.
Dreamforce.
That's a major event out there. There's Autodesk doing some stuff.
Okay.
There's a million different little events going on, or not little events, a lot of big events going on this week. It's kind of appropriate timing for this show.
It is, and maybe it's that run up to just before Thanksgiving where everything goes into a lull. So you've moved around the industry quite a bit. You're with IBM. I think you've been with IBM for the last 2 or 3 times that we did
I've been
interviews.
almost 6 years.
But yeah, oh wow.
Well, Ustream in IBM about almost 6 years.
Oh, that's right, because you were at Ustream prior. So what's your focus? What's your title at IBM now, and what's your focus?
I just transitioned from being the lead sales engineer to channels and alliances. I'm working with new partners, getting them signed up, and making sure we can work with our business partners more effectively.
Okay. And the Watson was one of the things we've talked about in interviews past. Where's the focus with that for video at this point? Again,
we still the video enrichment, where you can do metadata extraction, scene analysis, transcripts, understanding what's being said, and do actually scene selection. Obviously, closed captioning is very big. We're actually nominated for Reader's Choice Awards for our captioning. Again, we're just trying to make it all into uniform packaging, make it our streaming platform the next level, use AI to help enhance the different aspects.
So one of the things that came up, I was thinking about this morning during the initial keynote, which was the gentleman, Sandeep from Amazon with the Fire Stick. He was talking about voice control and rolling out voice control. Obviously with Watson and a lot of the underlying speech-to-text engines that IBM has, he was describing a practical application of that. What are some of the other applications from a consumer-facing standpoint that AI is good for?
Well, I mean, if you look at how the cable companies are using it from the remote controls, just so you can speak to it and you can find things. Again, the right speech to text and the right search algorithms, you can do really fast search and recommendations. So I'm looking for Game of Thrones, and then here's other shows like Game of Thrones, so big recommendations of what you're asking for. And they can look for the patterns but also if your kid logs on, they watch Baby Shark, they're doing Game of Thrones recommendations.
Well, and that is one of the issues that we've had in the past, is the recommendation engine was smart in terms of discovery, but not so smart in understanding that there were different users that were part of it. So does it also look to sense that it's different voices as opposed to somebody actively having to log into different accounts? Or? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you can definitely see, like in the closed captioning, you can do notation, different speaker change. Male or female speaker, child speaker, because obviously a child's voice is much different than an adult. I mean,
sure.
So you can do different things like that, and it'll show up faster in different aspects.
So what are with the role that you're now in with alliances and partnerships, what are some of the sort of practical examples, if you can talk about that? I mean, obviously some of those may be close holds you can't discuss, but what's the idea that IBM wants to do from a partnership standpoint?
Well, with AI, so we actually have customers who are doing kind of a really robust, in many cases almost make a CMS. So they're connecting video enrichment with streaming, with other APIs to do translation, to multiple languages. So the whole idea is how you can interconnect, bring the metadata, and do the extraction. Because we have a lot of metadata, you can easily bring it in for quicker search, more information, create a new user experience. And the whole idea with our partners is, how can they have the next level offering that the competitors have, and something, the differentiators between what they have, somebody else has, and the usability. Because if you have somebody who has a quick search and a robust way of finding things versus just another video platform out there, just a repository.
Sure.
I mean, I have one customer who does about 600 events a year, and now they're starting to do UGC content. They have no idea what their content is. Now, how do you search that? Well, the only way is you have to do transcript, make search, and do algorithms. So now it gets more faster. It's like they have a CMS on steroids. So now you can find stuff, and it's more personalized for the individual.
The one last question, and I worked with some of the guys from Learn Out and Houseby years ago, and of course you worked with IBM Watson with the speech to text. One of the tricks, or one of the challenges, has always been multiple languages simultaneously. So I asked the gentleman from Amazon afterwards today, and he said essentially they load all the languages into an Alexa device. So it's not like there's just Hindi or just Spanish or just English. But I was asking him about the question of people who tend to go back and forth between languages when they're talking. Have you all faced any of those challenges as you looked at that, or is it essentially a partner would license a single language as opposed to all languages?
A lot of our partners are doing single languages, the native languages, and so on. But again, IBM has a translation service. They actually have the Watson APIs. They also have standard, multiple languages. So in theory, they can go through and change multiple languages and searches. The thing is, those aspects don't have the training engine. So it's a little bit different aspect. So like the Watson Media side, our whole compass is make a user experience, and it's a little more trainable in one spot versus building your own trainer on top of what you have there.
That
makes it a little easier for the consumers.
So essentially you've got more of the stack there that you're offering out. All right, well, Scott, is always a pleasure to speak to you, and we'll be right back here in just a few minutes with our next interview.